What we're going to do in this little video is I'm just going to show you around this Locus Gear KHAFRA pyramid tent. This is a DCF Japanese tent. It's my friend's. He's brought it on his trip with us. He's just popped off for a few minutes, so we're gonna have a little look around it and see what it's like. So the first thing, apparently you can choose a black zip or a red zip. This zip is a number 3 zip, so it's a little bit thinner, hopefully not more delicate than the ones that MLD uses, but it is a lighter zip. But it feels, when you undo it, it does feel substantial. So the zip does feel good on it. What I will just do is just do the zip. I'll just do the zip back up again. What this one has, it does have a second zip, which the MLD shelters don't have. I don't think it's really something that I've ever missed, but if you do want a two-way zip or a downward zip, and you just want to stick your head out quickly just to look at the rain, then you can do that. I don't think it makes a huge amount of difference to ventilation, because if it's raining, you're going to want to have it done up anyway, most likely. But yeah, so you've got a two-way zip if you like that. You do have a vent on the front. There's also a vent on the back. And both of the vents, we'll have a look inside in a minute, but both the vents have mesh inside them. The doors have 2 loops on them, the same as MLD. The main difference is on these, the clip is on the inside, which I must admit in a way does make more sense, because it's easier to do up from the inside, you know, at night. If we open the door fully, so you could peg out the door here if you want to. What we're going to do is we will open this door. You could open the fire door. It doesn't matter which door you open. I think my friend tends to open this side here. This works by putting a clip there through bungee. I'll show you close up in a minute. It's a little bit fiddly, but not too bad. And then you can tighten that up. So basically on here you've got a patch with 2 pieces of bungee, one there, and then another piece exactly the same as this one here, and then basically one of those toggles goes through that, and then you just tighten it up, and that holds the door open very nicely there. That does seem to work well. One thing we can say is my friend has used an MLD, the XL pole, and that has held up this tent or this pyramid, which is probably equivalent to the MLD Supermid in size really. I would say it's very similar. And whilst we are fairly sheltered here, there have been 30-mile-an-hour gusts, but it has been sheltered here. We've definitely not been getting 30-mile-an-hours here, but it has certainly you know, been blustery, and that pole has held up very well. The outside, you get the usual line locks. They use the same line locks as MLD. I think the material to the line lock is softer, and it's not as, I'm sure it's as strong, but I don't think it's as, yeah. You know, if we go over to, we just happen to have an MLD one, you can do that business, but this material seems a little bit more robust than this material. This seems a little bit thinner and lightweight, obviously trying to save weight. I mean, nothing's going to happen to it. I don't doubt for 1 second that it's more than strong enough, but it is a little bit lighter. I noticed that they have put loops, so if you're a very loopy person and you want loops all the way around the middle, to me they seem quite low. I don't know why they're so low. They would make a bit more sense a little bit further up, but if you're a loopy person, then you've got your loops all the way around. I'm kind of pleased really to see that Ron has done away with that on his newer shelters. The original shelters, of course, of which I have, he only ever put one there, one there, one there, and he did used to put one on the door. And I think it's only in sort of the last several years, because I think everybody kept crying and getting so upset because their tents were flexing in like they're supposed to. So we did start adding them on here and here, the same as on that, you know, all the way around. I am rather pleased to see that he's gone back to the original of just putting them on the panels at the back, because in my opinion, and I'm probably out on a limb on this, but obviously Ron thinks the same as I do, that they're just simply not needed. You know, and so yeah, so they're not on there. You don't need to tie them out. I mean, I've just pegged this one the same as my friend has done on his. You know, the ground line locks, I've just used the ground line locks. If you look here, so you've got the front beak here with a stiffening rod inside there, and then there's some mesh up there. When you compare that to Ron's, the MLD one, so like I said, this is a new the new Duo Mid. You've got the stiffened panel here, and then you've got, you know, you've got the ventilating panel up there, and it's a nice beak with plenty of space there. Obviously with that one you don't get one at the back. With this one you get one front and back. So, and I doubt rain, you know, I doubt rain's going to get up there, even though it's at the back, it's very well covered. So that is definitely, you know, definitely very well ventilated. Plus obviously you've got a little bit of air at the bottom there. Inside you get hang loops. We've got one hang loop there. That's the only hang loop there is inside, actually. There's no other low level hang loops, just this one here. Ron's put, I think, 4 hang loops inside. So yeah, we've got one here, there. So 4 hang loops inside. The door lock on this is this new clip design here, which, as long as you do it this way round, works very well. Don't clip it opposite, clip it that way outwards. That works very well. The hang loops inside, to be fair, the hang loops inside, I never use them for hanging the inner from. They're just not needed. Again, people do seem to insist on doing that, but it's not needed. You only need to hang the inner from a loop there and peg out the 4 corners, and that should do, you know, your net inner fine. This is an old MLD inner. This is a solo inner. A little shout out to Jake. Check out Jake on Instagram. So I think he had this one and sold this to my friend. I noticed that my friend buys up all the stuff from people on YouTube and Instagram and things. Although this he got this new directly from Locus Gear. Apparently these people, let's just say, hopefully maybe are as helpful in dispatching things, if you get what I mean, as MLD. So yeah, it sounds like these people are helpful when it comes to things arriving. We say no more. And this is a very nice place. This is very similar to the Supermid, and I have to say this is actually yeah, I mean, this is nice. I think this is a little bit cheaper. Obviously go and check out and buy your MLD Supermid in DCF first, but I have to say this does look and feel very nice. It's very beautifully put together. It does look very good quality. The Cuban fiber is very good. It's really nice. If I wasn't, you know, so invested in MLD and getting stuff from them, I have to say that this is very nice. You know, you've got nice venting in it. They do a smaller version than this. They do like a duo mid sized one, and I think a solo mid XL sized one. I think they do different materials. I think they do nylon or poly and DCF. But yeah, it does look, it looks nice. You get a hang loop in the middle for hanging things from. There's no loop on the outside of these, whereas Ron tends to put a little bit of a material loop thing. It's like everybody needs to tie, if there's a loop on a shelter, it's like people want to tie lines to it. So there isn't an outside line on this, so you can't tie anything to it, and it's not needed. Where the bloody hell is it going to go? Anyway, enough of me complaining about other people tying everything to everything. But yeah, so you've got that. You know, this is the middle of it. The pole goes up there. The pole goes up there very nicely. I have to say, this is very beautifully put together. like I said, their zipper's a little bit thinner than Ron's. I think this is a 5, he uses a 5. I think the line lock material is a little bit lighter than the one that Ron uses, but not much in it. I think the one thing that they ought to change is, my friend was saying that they supply these lines here, which are very, very thin. This is maybe 1.5 or 2 millimeter lines. I don't know what it is, but it's very thin line. And I know various people in the past have tried thin lines to try to save weight with these line locks, and this is the same line lock that Ron uses on the MLD. And my friend says, and I have heard, that these lines will slip on these. And my friend has switched them over for 3 millimeter lines, which are too big. You can't work them properly on that. So my suggestion to Locus is that you use 2.5, 2.7 millimeter lines like this. That would be better than these thinner lines. So if you do get the thin lines, personally, I would be ordering 2.7 millimeter lines from MLD or wherever you can get 2.7 millimeter lines from. They work better with this, because look, this one was tightened up earlier and no one's touched it, but it has come loose here, and I'm sure my friend tightened that up earlier. Yeah, I would definitely, that one's held okay. Maybe he loosened that one off, but I doubt it. So I would recommend switching out what they supply with 2.7, not 3 millimeter, because it's too thick. My friend's really struggling to tighten up 3 millimeter, but 2.7 seems the sweet point. But like the Supermid, you know, it is nice to set up your inner in there if you want an inner on one side, and then you've got loads of space on the other side for sitting up in, doing your cooking. And see, I must admit, it is nice to have a big shelter, as long as you've got plenty of room, you know, to pitch it up on. And a couple of tips, or one tip anyway, when you're pitching these shelters, if you find that one side is bowing in on you, don't just try and tighten up just this one here, because that won't work. What you're better off doing is loosening everything this side, including the corner over there, and then coming over to the opposite corner of where you're struggling to get a straight line, and then tighten up here. Obviously make sure your door is done up. Tighten up here, so you're kind of pulling the shelter towards you, and then tighten up that one down there, and then that helps get that one a little bit straighter there. And we've pitched this quite low because it's quite breezy, but if it wasn't so breezy, then just loosen everything off, make your pole a little bit higher, and then just pitch it a little bit higher off the ground. You know, if it's not windy, you don't need to pitch it very low. You don't need to pitch it very low down. So that's just something else. But that's just a quick rundown and a little comparison to the Duo Mid, with a few thoughts between both for you. My friend's using Century Designs leggings and top for a cat for sleeping. He's got an MLD Spirit Quilt 38 and a Big Agnes sleep mat and a Burgess jacket, that one that Chris and I have, and he likes that too. And then just a few other bits and bobs in here, but that's basically all he's got. He hasn't got very much else. He's kept things fairly minimalistic. So yeah, I better take a photograph, and that's his setup. Oh. Just one other little addition to the video. I noticed that on here they use like a material reinforcement, which I think Ron used to use of some description. So that's like a materially type of thing. It could be like extra thick Cuban fibre even, but that's what they use for the reinforced patches in the corner. They're fairly small reinforced patches. Ron uses a piece of Cuban fibre. You can see there's Cuban fibre stuck on there, and then Cuban fibre stuck on the corners, which goes right the way across there. It's not circular, it goes right the way across, probably about the same size all the way, you know, probably about the same width up. Just have to try not to move my fingers. Yeah, Ron's probably goes a little bit further actually, because that's there. And then if we be scientific, yeah, I would say that Ron's patches, and they look bigger too. There's not much in it, but I think Ron's patches on the MLDs, the reinforced patches, are a little bit bigger. And then it looks like some sort of material there on those sides, which I think is probably on the, looks like that there is stuck on there. There's definitely something stuck on the inside. I think there's a patch put on the inside, a patch put on the outside, reinforced around, patched on there and sewn through. Let's have a look. Let's just have a look at the patches. I'm just videoing. I'm just gonna come in and just have a look at your, and that, yeah, that's sewn, looks like it's sewn through and patched on the inside there as well. Yeah, and then well, I'll just show you my friend's little fridge. So what he's got here is a tent peg with some cord on it, and then a stuffed sack, and I think he puts maybe some water in there or a stone, but just weigh it down and then put something in there. If you know, I think he brought some milk, just put some milk in there and keep it cool in flowing water if anyone is so inclined to, you know, want to bring milk and such like. It's not something I would do, but you know, I think some people like their little creature comforts. So there's a little hot tip for you, and I'll just show you around our camp because my friend's heading back tomorrow, and we're gonna head over the top tomorrow. but this is camp. I better rescue that stuff sack that's sticking out my door there. But this is our camp here. The breeze is coming up the valley. Yesterday we had someone in tarps up over there. Now we've got someone in a tent or a pyramid or something just to the left of Dotor. So I don't know who you are, but hello to you. We've got this space, and there's a few, actually I think there's some tents up there. Just looking now up by Brattor, I can see 3 people just to the right, and I reckon there's 2 tents up there. I think we've nabbed this spot. So when I leave back there Thursday, I should try, because I'll probably come back here because this is a convenient spot, so I probably will try and get back here sort of early afternoon, I think, on the Thursday, and then I've got a beeline straight back, and then that's Great Links tour just up through there. But yeah, it's a really nice evening. Oh, and I'll just show you, I knew I wouldn't be using too much power this time, but just for the safe side I brought my 2 large power banks, so I'm definitely not going to run out of power. It's impossible. Yeah, famous last words, but I don't think I will. But I brought the small solar panel with me because it's only about 200 grams, so I brought that one with me, and my other power bank, which I use to top up my other phone, the Samsung. I think the Samsung was on about 50% or something like that last night, maybe a little bit more, but about 50%. So I topped that up, and then I put that power bank on this morning, so probably about 8-9 o'clock in the morning it started to get some sun, and then by 3 o'clock this afternoon the small solar 7-watt thingamybobs topped up the power bank 100%. Again, it probably hadn't have used very much, but I do think having a solar panel is handy just to top up your power banks. You're not going to get a huge amount of power, but it does top them up. So I've put the other one on, and that's filled that up. And that's just filled that up in about 3 hours as well, and that had used about, I can't remember what I'd done now. I think that power bank topped up my other phone. Oh no, I think that power bank I used for the iPhone, and I think it topped it from about 85% to 100, so really not very much. So we filled that power bank back up again. So both power banks are now full, although to be fair, this one I might have used to top my phone. Oh, actually I think my phone is that's on 97%. Oh, I need to have my dinner in a minute. So I might just plug this one back in to there and just let that one top back up again, because that one, that's filled that up completely and it wasn't flashing. So that's filled that up, and I had topped up one of the phones to 100%. So we'll see. And that one's actually, that one has used quite a bit, because that one I must have topped up my my main phone again, because that's flashing on the 75% flasher. So that probably will take a bit of topping up. So I think what I might do is that power bank, which is on at least 75%, I'm going to let that one and just see whether that tops up today and tomorrow, and then use that power bank today and tomorrow, if that makes sense, and then concentrate on topping that one up and see if we can get it up to 100%, because that's probably on about 75+%. And then I was going to deflate the mat, but we'll top it up, you know, in camp tomorrow with that blower.